In the world's largest democracy goes to polls in 2 weeks, and 2 surveys show that unemployment is the key issue for the upcoming Lok Sabha elections. A survey conducted by the Association for Democratic Reforms or ADR across 534 Lok Sabha constituencies and 2.73 lakh voters shows that 47% of the respondents list employment as the #1 or the top priority. That's not all. An online survey by LocalCircles highlights that a majority of the respondents of that LocalCircles survey want the next government to reduce the unemployment rate. Well, joining us now to discuss the findings of both these surveys, Major General Anil Verma, the head of the Association for Democratic Reforms, also with us Sachin, the chairman of and CEO of LocalCircles. Gentlemen, appreciate you joining us here. Major General, if I could start by asking you, this is a fairly exhaustive survey that ADR has done, over 2.73 lakh people who were interviewed, but this survey was done between October of 2018 and December of 2018. Since then, we've seen several events take place, particularly the Pulwama attack and the Balakot strike. Do you believe that that could change the narrative at all, or do you believe that the survey findings, which holds up employment as the top priority, will continue to hold ground?
See, firstly, the survey is not designed to, in any way, is it related to the outcome of the election or as to, which political party is going to win or lose. It is not directed against any political party. It is just a reflection of two things. One is, what does the voter want and how does he rate the government? And this is the third in the series of the surveys. We had done the first one in just before the 2014 elections, and the second one was a midterm which we did in 2017,
right,
and this is the final one.
Okay.
And in all of them the outcome was the priority #1 given by the voters or the common man was employment.
Okay.
In the last one it was and it has increased, by the way. It has increased 67% in the priorities from the 2017 survey as far as the employment goes, and the #2, which is healthcare, has increased by 40%.
Okay.
So last survey the priorities were employment, drinking water and health. This time it has changed to employment, health and drinking water. These are the first 3 priorities. So as you are aware, elections in our country are fought mostly on caste, religion and such other issues, and at times some emotional issues added at the last minute, and that can change the narrative. I will not comment on that, but our aim in doing the survey is to let the powers that be and the political parties and all the people who are involved in the governance to pay heed to what the common man wants.
No,
these are the issues which are not seriously discussed in the campaigns, and secondly, even during the budget allocations, these issues are not given the due importance which they should get. To give you just one example, the #2 priority, healthcare, the amount of budget allocation has reduced this year compared to last year. So here you have the people of the country wanting better employment opportunities, better healthcare, better drinking water, but the budget allocation is not matching it.
Okay.
So these are the substantive issues on which the focus of the political parties should be there, and that is the aim of this survey.
Absolutely.
And it is a very wide-based this thing. We have got 65% men, 35% women, 65% people were between the age group of 18 to 40. There are 65% rural and 35% urban respondents. And similarly, we have distributed it in the income-wise also. They are from all stratas, and caste and creed, everything has been taken care of in this survey.
Yes, you're right that it is a fairly exhaustive survey that you've conducted. But if you can throw a little bit more color, Major General, on the breakup, urban versus rural, when it comes to issues like employment, healthcare, are you seeing a significant difference in the way that constituents in the urban pockets are talking about employment and in the rural pockets are talking about employment?
Yeah. So as if you go to the, see, like I told you, the first top 10 priority all India is employment, health, drinking water, roads, public transport, and the next 4 are pertaining to agriculture, which is again very important. So, you're seeing the agriculture duress and distress which the farmers are facing. It is 6th is water availability, loan availability, high prices or better prices, seeds and subsidies subsidy on seeds and fertilizer, and last is law and order.
Okay.
Now, this is the overall national thing. But if you take it rural and urban wise, as you are inquiring, so the first in both rural and urban is employment opportunities.
Okay.
They want better employment opportunities. Number 2 in the rural is water. For agriculture, loans for agriculture, better prices for agriculture, subsidies for. So, in the top 5 in the rural, first is employment and the rest 4 are pertaining to agriculture. Whereas in the urban priorities, first is employment, second is health, third is traffic congestion, fourth is drinking water, and fifth is roads. So, there is a difference in the rural and the urban.
Absolutely. So the rural constituents are more focused on issues related to agri-growth, agricultural development, and obviously the urban pockets feel differently. But before I come back to you, Major General, let me bring in Sachin Taparia of Local Circles in on the conversation as well. The Local Circles survey has surveyed about 1 lakh people. This is an online poll, remember, across 260 districts of India. Now, Sachin, again, your survey, like the ADR survey, very clearly shows up that people want the priority for the next government to be employment. Can you throw more color on what specifically are they saying?
Absolutely, Shereen. So, what we are seeing is that for a lot of people, unemployment and, reducing unemployment and creating jobs is a critical issue. And our survey was focused on, what do the people of the country want? You have, different political parties coming up with their manifestos soon. So we asked the citizens, what is it that you are looking for? And not just in terms of identifying an issue, but also, setting up a KRA in some sense. So on unemployment, saying that, there are multiple surveys that have come in the last, couple of months. Where they're saying 6 to 7% is the unemployment rate. The target that the citizens basically are saying for the next government has got to be, somewhere around 4%.
Okay.
So reducing unemployment to, 4%. That's one key area. The second key finding that came out was a lot of people saying that if the focus is, put on ease of doing business, reducing, the business bottlenecks at the ground level, at the district level, when you set up factories, when you, you've got the ease of doing business index.
Yeah, Sachin, that's what I want to pick up on, because it's interesting that you point out that the survey is showing up that what the government needs to focus on is improving the ease of doing business. Yet, one of the big achievements that the government claims is the fact that we moved up in the World Bank's ease of doing business report. So are you suggesting that people on the survey are saying that things haven't changed for them on the ground?
From what I understand, Shereen, the World Bank report is largely focused on Delhi and Mumbai.
It is.
Right?
It is.
But if you look at ease of doing business, so if you look at, let's say, Delhi, your factories really are not in Delhi. They are in Gurgaon, they are in Manesar, they are in Greater Noida. Right? So what people are basically saying is that if at a district level, the next government actually, does reforms that cover majority of the districts, at least the business districts, where people are setting up factories, people are setting up, service centers. That is a top need, because again, the thought process is that if
So what I'm trying to understand, is, through the survey, that essentially, and you rightly pointed out that the World Bank survey is focused on Delhi and Mumbai, that may not reflect reality pan-India.
That's absolutely right, and that's what we are seeing. The other issue, which is also related here and kind of goes back to what the ADR survey was showing, is a lot of local issues have come out. For instance, education, health. In our survey, pollution came out as a big issue, saying that, the government there was no focus on addressing air quality in North India in budget 2019. Right? So should the next government, we asked people, should the next government take a target, or be given a target to reduce pollution, which is, PM 2.5 levels and PM 10 levels to a certain level.
Right.
And right on, that's where people are saying that, look, we need district level reforms in the country, and that's got to be a priority for the next government. If that is addressed, if doing business becomes easier, more jobs will start getting created.
Okay, that's very interesting. And it might seem like a contradiction to many people, because remember, we've been claiming that we've gone up 30 points in the Ease of Doing Business Index. But as Sachin was pointing out, that index measures Delhi and Mumbai's respondents. So is the national picture very different? The Local Circles poll seems to suggest that the reality is different. But let me go back across to Major General. Major General, 31 issues that you have looked at, from employment to law and order. Now, what does the survey tell you in terms of how the government's performance has been rated across these 31 parameters? And if you can throw more color on what the picture looked like in 2017 and versus what it looks like in 2018, because if I look at your survey, it pretty much says that it's a below average ranking across these 31 across these 31 parameters.
Yeah, that's right. If I compare it to the 17-18 survey, the last midterm survey, we have carried out a comparison of the top 3 things, that is employment. So like I told you, the employment percentage, the priority as far as the common man is concerned, has increased by 67%. The healthcare priority has increased by 40%. And the drinking water priority has increased by a surprisingly 150%.
Okay.
So that is as far as the comparison goes. Otherwise, as far as the performance goes, like I told you, it has been below average on all the counts.
Okay. On
all counts. Not a single this thing has the performance been rated as even average. It is below average in all.
Okay.
So, I mean, it is across the board like that. Yeah. And those details are there in the survey.
Okay, below average is the way that voters have rated the performance of the government across these issues. Sachin, I want to come back to you now. In terms of what the voters are saying, they would like to see change. We talked about ease of doing business as one of the sort of overarching themes that they want the next government to address. But also, if I look at what they're saying, they want significant foreign direct investment through business-friendly policies to be prioritized. They want massive incentives for MSMEs and startups. They want greater private and public infrastructure spending and lesser bureaucratic inefficiencies. So they're very clear in terms of priorities that more FDI is the route to employment generation.
Very clearly, that's what is coming out of the survey, Shereen. And we basically asked people that, look, in the last 5 years, the total FDI has been somewhere in the range of 250 to 260 billion. What would be the target that the next government should take on? And most people seem to believe that at least that target should be 450 billion. So I think that's very clear that, if for the next government, what people are basically saying is, bring in FDI, make ease of doing business a priority, not just in large metros, but in major districts of the country. And, this will help create unemployment and boost the job creation engine. So that's, very, very clear with what we have seen from the survey.
Do you believe that this will be a big factor, Sachin, through the survey and what the findings show up, that this is going to weigh on the voters' mind as we approach 11th of April?
Most definitely the urban voter, Shereen, with what we are seeing with our survey, which is, urban and semi-urban for the most part, about, 8-9% rural, very clearly. And we would like, the major parties in the country to incorporate some of these demands in their manifesto and not just, say that, yes, we will work on pollution, but take on targets that, this is what we will take on as a target, and we will launch, like you have a Clean India or a Swachh Bharat, we will have a clean air mission, for example, in North India. Right? So I think people are looking for specifics, and they want the government to, sign up to a target and then measure them to a target rather than just a mere cause.
Okay, Major General, I'll give you the final word then. Across these 31 parameters that you've listed in your survey, have they also given you more color on what they would like to have the government prioritize, the next government prioritize by way of measures to address these issues?
No, they haven't. We have not really gone into that part as to what measures are, but the basic theme, like I mentioned earlier, was that we would like the political parties or whichever government is formed to take into consideration that the budgetary allocation should be done as per the priority or the demands of the common man. There has to be an interaction between the people and the government. It's not the the sole propriety of the super specialists and the bureaucrats sitting there allocating funds as per their own scheme of things. There has to be an interaction with the people, and funds should be allocated as per that.
Put people back at the center of policy making. I think that is what the survey done by both ADR as well as LocalCircles highlights, that there is a disconnect between what people want, where the budgetary allocations are being made, and what is finally being delivered on the ground. That disconnect needs to be bridged. Well, let's see what political parties throw up by way of manifestos. Promise season is here. This is election season. Promises are being made left, right and center. What will eventually become of them is another story altogether. Major General Verma, Sachin, Taparia, appreciate you joining us here on CNBC TV 18 with your views on the surveys done by you.